And okay, I'll give a couple more minutes, guys. I think we have a few more people rolling in. And like I said, I'm recording this for those that cannot attend.
How's it going? It looks like I'm in the call. Can you guys hear me? Ooh, we not doing that?
All right, so I'll kind of jump into it as other people come around because I think most of the users will look at the recording anyway. So I think we have, like I said, a mix of people that are currently using launch control and some of the people that are not. So I wanted to go through a very brief overview of the system, why it was designed a certain way, and kind of give an overview in general of the ins and outs of it. Before we jump into we'll do like a live badge and we'll go through a few Q&A questions, etc. Because the goal for us is to make sure that we always are conveying the sales aspect of using launch control and why it was designed a certain way, because that's one of the key ingredients. Is it's not just designed to kind of spam people text messages. There's a big difference of kind of how you use it and results you get as part of the average that we get for 2,000, 3,000 text messages per deal. So for our users, we'll have this training probably bi-weekly ongoing and go through real life examples. We're going to go through ongoing training because, like I said, a platform is only as good as the user. And if you're just kind of sending out messages and hoping to get like, yes, I'm ready to sell 1 in 10,000, you're not going to have a very good conversion. You're going to blow through a lot of lists with not a very good result. So either way, for those that are not our system now, I'll just go through it real quick. The goal for launch control, and maybe starting with a website, was to take a system that we've been using for a year at my company, which is Ashley Buys Houses / Bay Capital Holdings. Ashley Buys Houses is the public facing name, and Bay Capital Holdings is the actual holding company. So the goal was to take something we developed internally and to make sure that we were able to take this to market and translate it into something that all the investors are able to use. One of the quick things to get out of the way initially, as far as the legality of text messaging, et cetera. So we're in a unique industry where we're not soliciting a service. So we're not asking people to list their house. We're not asking people to buy solar panels, or we're not looking to solicit any kind of vitamins, right? So basically, because we are investors and we are inquiring whether somebody's interested in selling their house, and because launch control is set up to do it in a way where you're sending one message at a time, it's not an auto blaster, right? So you're not sending out 1,000 messages, which makes it a non-dialer or not an auto dialer, which is what TCPA requirements are. So if it's not an auto dialer, meaning that you as a user, if there's ever a question of how you acquired a specific prospect or a deal, you're able to revert back to the software that you've used. And again, we've had multiple legal opinions given on the software from TCPA attorneys, basically saying that it is a non-auto dialer system, okay? So just want to kind of get that out of the way. The other aspects was we've done really every kind of marketing channel at my company. And to give you kind of a quick setup in our company, we have 3 acquisition managers, 1 disposition, myself, my partner, we have a deal analyst / transaction coordinator and operations person. So we have about 8 or 9 person kind of a team here. Majority of what we've done has been around pay-per-click, direct mail, which is where I got some of these KPIs from. Our text messaging is even lower than that. I just wanted to make this somewhat realistic. We're probably even half of that in terms of our cost per deal. But again, I've tried everything from Facebook to we're doing TV now. We're kind of trying that, to direct mail, cold calling, pay-per-click, RVM, I mean, basically you name it. And texting has been the most consistent source for us throughout the months. Some sources, marketing channels have come and gone. Some of the ones have stayed. Most of them have not. So primarily now, all we're doing is cold calling. We are also doing, obviously texting is the main one. We're trialing TV as far as our pilot. And that's kind of it. That's been the highest performing source for us over the course of the past year. So to give you guys more of a background, so we've developed this in a more rudimentary platform, and we've been using it for over a year in terms of getting deals in my company as far as Big Capital is concerned. So to give the other users that are not on our system yet a larger overview, once you log in, you guys will have a dashboard. I know this may look new to some of you that are existing users. So we're enhancing this a little bit further and actually plugging it in so we're able to see what's going on day by day. There's also going to be a Dropbox here for as far as, you know, if you're looking at a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and you can do a time range, etc. But when you log in, this will be the first thing you see, and we're going to keep fine tuning this section because it's always nice to see the progress that you're making, your user is making. Right now, I'm logged in as one of my users, Luke, who's again joining us, and then you guys will be able to see kind of what's going on throughout the day. The next iteration is going to have, you know, your text messages that are incoming, outgoing for the day. So you get the day or the week, you're able to get a better track of what is going on inside the system in general. Okay. After that, you're able to come in and go into a summary page. And again, I'm just kind of walking this real quickly for those that don't have the system. This is the whole basis for launch control, and why it's a certain way is that you're able to go through this and you're able to see all your responses organized by hot, warm, medium, you know, different statuses. So you're able to see everything all at once. You're able to jump between messages very quickly, and you're able to continue the conversation here. You're able to see the property on the right-hand side. You're able to drop the little guy, and soon we're going to just default this view so you know what's going on. And then this panel in the update later this week is going to have all the information that you find on Zillow, which is all this information on the side. So there's really no need to leave the page necessarily in most cases. But the information that we're going to have on the side panel here also is going to take it a little bit further. It's going to have things like how much was the original mortgage amount, interest rates, you know, when was it taken out? Is it owner financed? Is it private mortgage, conventional FHA? So it's going to have a lot more details, and that's going to be dropped in right here. Okay. So the goal is to not necessarily have to leave this page when you're doing prospecting. Okay. At the same time, you're able to come in here and take a look at, you know, all of my hot leads at the same time. So you can focus on those, and Luke's going to walk through that in terms of how he works those throughout the day and how we're able to have an awesome follow-up cadence and a conversion ratio. We just got a deal last week that was a year old. It was a year-old follow-up campaign. So we'll go through that. But again, the goal here is to make sure that you're able to see all your prospects. You're able to disposition them. Let me find a blank one. Maybe a few floating here. Yeah, we left these here kind of to show you guys. We have a not interested button now. So for example, if somebody's it's an actual owner, you're able to check them and mark them not interested. So this where you're able to clean everything up, so you don't have any of these spots where you're not seeing you know, a specific status. So one of the other goals of launch control is to make sure that you have the ability to import your existing lists, or you're able to come in here and skip trace directly through us. So in either case, you're able to come in here, select upload your own list or skip trace through us. And then everything is then returned to your dashboard here. As you can see, I have some of my tests, etc. So that's why the hit rate is not good. But most of the time, you should be expecting something in the high 90s as far as their return on the skip trace. Same thing for direct import. One of the things we did is kind of fix the ability to import super high count lists. So you can go up to 10K, 20K, whatever you feel like. And then from here, you're able to attach them directly to a campaign. All right. Speaking of campaigns, we'll just jump in here real quick. You're able to see all of your campaigns. You're able to create them. You're able to then go in and send batches. You're able to resume batches. You can see we've been kind of going on and off. So any one of these can be returned to at any given time. So I'll kind of pause there with a quick high-level overview and go through some of the new features now. So we'll go into you know, what this is really meant for, which is for current users. what are the new features? And I think it's specifically for you, Vic, and Sam and you guys, in terms of one of the requests was to see, how many are coming back per user responses, right? And then basically be able to switch between users. So that feature is available now, and you're able to kind of see some of the generic KPIs per user, right? So if you have unanswered, for example, looks like we got to clean some up for Luke. But again, we didn't have this feature available, so now it gives us, a better understanding of if there is something that has not been answered yet. So that's one of the features that was that's already released, and you see it in your platform now. The other one is override existing on imports. So for example, if you guys come in here now and you're importing a list, and we've had a few times where you wanted to just override something, if it was maybe a test list or something like that. So if you're coming in, you're able to come in and import a, I'll just do an example. So you're able to override existing, basically meaning that if you already have a sample file in there, or if you already have a conversation that's going on, you're able just simply to override that and add to it, instead of coming in here and worrying about deleting the previous import, etc. So that's available now. One of the huge changes we did was, when you're sending out batches, there's zero lag between messages now. So we're going to go through a live one in just a second. Luke's going to launch one of the batches, and you'll see that there's literally zero lag for in between messages. There's no more half spinning circle or quarter spinning circle. So that's one of the big changes. One of the logic aspects I wanted to explain for the users that we have now, if you guys knew that or not, the reason why you see two messages here, and in the update later this week, you'll only have a blue dot if it's a new message, right? So if it's something you already read, it won't be this color. It'll just basically, there won't be a color there, but you'll be able to see if there's a blue, that means it's a new message. Obviously, they'll go to the top, but if there are other messages that you're working down, you're having conversations, you'll still see it down here. So you're not necessarily missing it. And the reason why you guys see the two messages is, again, this has been trial and error for a year before we decided to release it, you guys. Because think of it this way, we've had situations where somebody replies, no thank you, is the last message, but the previous message has been, maybe give me a call or maybe contact me in 6 months, but I'm okay for now, right? So if we only had one message here, I'm okay for now, and that's all you saw without clicking into it. And if you have one of those messages, you may not even read it, you just might click on not interested, right? So you would disposition it. But for example, this eliminates any room for error for the user, right? So you're able to see if there's any kind of, maybe hidden message or something that they meant that it really didn't. It doesn't confuse your actual end user. One of the other aspects, as I mentioned, for imports, you're able to import basically a list of, we had a few users that was trying to import, I think, a list of 20,000, 25,000. So that's no longer an issue. It still scrubs through Blacklist Alliance, and it's available to be imported and appended to campaign. And then I think, Vic, this might have been you guys as well for one of your requests. So now if you create a new reply, you're able to come in here and do the same thing as you're doing with the outgoing messages, is insert first name, insert last name, whatever you prefer. So this way, in your follow-up messages, you guys will have those pulling in from the prospect's information. So this is pretty huge, and Luke's going to go through the follow-up messages. We actually have to edit ours because we didn't have those in there before. So our follow-up messages, and I think we're going to change neutral to follow-up. So this will say, hey, so insert first name. This is Luke following up with, did you ever revisit the idea of selling the property, et cetera? So it's going to be one of those powerful tools that just helps to, hone in the conversation in terms of where you guys left it from, the original content. So that's some of the updates that just recently occurred. I think they pushed them out last night. There's going to be quite a few more that are coming out later this week that are more common sense. I think they've been requested in terms of just getting the dashboard there. We're also going to have a call forward feature. So for example, when Luke sends this out, I just want to show you guys a few examples here. When you guys get a bunch of these messages, we're not interested, it's sold, or no thank you. The ones that are positive, the ones that are actually respond with anything besides that, all of those messages will also go to the user. So for example, if you guys don't have an acquisition manager, or if you are the acquisition manager, what we'll do is that it will go into, I'm going to show you guys real quick. It will go into the user. So for example, if I go to edit, it will go into this user and you'll be able to put in their phone number as well as a call forward number. So basically means that once they get a response and it's anything but a negative response, you'll have those text messages incoming only forwarded to your cell phone. So for example, if there's a hit on 8 p.m. later on Friday, you'll be able to see that coming in. So this way you're never really kind of flying blind. And then again, the other feature will be it'll scrub out automatically all the negative responses from the summary screen. Okay. So I'll have Luke kind of tee up a batch for us as we're setting this up. And then we're going to go through some of his points as well. As he's teeing up a batch, I want to go through some of the best practices, for the software in general. So we're going to get into this training session now. And then we're also going to do a few, we'll switch chairs. Yep. Yeah, so Luke's my top acquisition guy. He's been with us for years, been basically the text message ninja. I don't know, we get like what, at least 1 to 3 deals for you?
Yeah, 1 to 3 every single month. And we're not really
setting
out of the water either.
100 or 300 messages a day, which
We'd be
is
sending a lot more.
Let's just put it lightly, that ain't shit. So we'll be ramping up as far as our outbound messages as well, and having those go out at a much higher frequency. So while Luke's setting this up, and you guys keep going, Luke, I'll walk you through some of the high level best practices that have made us successful. And what you see Luke doing right now is kind of setting up the messages. And then this is one of the features that keep going. So this is live. You guys see him firing them off. And if you look in the right-hand corner, maybe we should have timed this, right? He's going through the messages. So I think we're like, 15 seconds? We're at 60. So I think in less than probably like 40 seconds, realistically, you can go through 150 messages, right? And those are just cranked out automatically, right? Batch is done, back to the summary page. So we'll wait for some of those responses. And while we're waiting, I wanted to go through some of the high level best practices, and I'm going to have Luke kind of dive into some of the, more of the, some of the ninja stuff that he does. And again, why he's so successful on conversion. So one of the reasons, we've been able to average, 2,000, I would say to 3,000, depending on the month and a deal, and the list size or list source, I should say, 2,000 to 3,000 text messages per deals, because we don't have VAs operating the system, right? There's a lot of people out there that rely on VAs, and, they use something like a generic, system that text blast everything that they have, and they do several thousand a day. There's so much that's left behind on, you probably want to let these stack up. We'll kind of go through them one by one. There's so many messages that go on unaddressed, and they're not properly worked down. When you have a VA working your text messages, you're simply missing things that fall through the cracks. You're not able to start a conversation. You're not able to read through a certain nuance. They're basically programmed to look for specific messages, but they cannot carry conversations. Give me several examples that Luke's going to pull up where we had people that told us, you know what, I get 20 of these a day, or, I'm not interested, or some version of that, where we're able to take those internals around into a conversation. Now, can you teach a high level VA to do that? Yes, of course. But again, there's a reason why my acquisition guys do it directly, because they're in sales and they can take a certain message. Because yes, is there a lot of uniform responses in text messaging? Yes, but at the same time, you have to kind of read between the lines and also pivot at the same spot. And if somebody wants to jump on the phone then and there, are you going to have your VA do it? Scheduling calls out also has the interest. Sometimes the interest falls off, right? So that's one of the things we definitely don't do, is have VAs do it. I'm going to hire probably so we have 3 acquisition people now. I'm going to probably have a junior acquisition person be more central in taking some of these down. But again, we're still keeping everything in-house, everything non-outsourced as far as working through some of these. If you guys have questions, I'm going to try to get to them. Sorry, I saw the chats. I don't know if you guys have still hear background noise. I'll try to mute somebody. Yeah, if I mute you guys, you can unmute yourself later on. Okay. All right. So hopefully that helps. One of the questions was on the call forward. So there's going to be two purposes for call forward. One's going to go to your call rail number when somebody calls back the number you're texting from. And we have up to 60 numbers you can text from, as you can see in our, depending which package you go with. So this one has 60 numbers that you actually are assigned, and there's a very sophisticated algorithm on the back end that works, and it pairs up based on carrier, pairs up based on the numbers based on delivery rates, etc. So to answer your question, Ryan, basically what it does is it'll forward the number that you're texting from. The call will go to your call rail number that's associated with that user, but any incoming messages will go to that user's cell phone, right? So if you have an acquisition manager, all the incoming texts, so they can keep track of them no matter what time of day it is, minus the negative ones, will always go to the user's cell phone. So coming back to this and going into best practices, one of the other things that we don't do is I had this recently happen. I think it was with, I don't know if he's on the call now, but it was one of the current users, and he bought tier 2 data, which basically, if you guys don't know what tier 2 data is, it's that, cheap data or cheap skip tracing you can get, which basically, you can get for $3 a number or 4 cents a number. I'm sorry, 3 to 4 cents a number. What you guys are doing at that point, you're diluting your pool. So you can get that data with a high append rate, but what you're doing in the background is you're getting data that it might be high append rate or high match rate in the high 90s, but the data is complete garbage. So you're basically, you're putting, the best way I can give an example, you're putting like an 87 grade fuel into like a sports car, right? So you're feeding garbage data into something that you should be feeding the best data possible, like text messaging platform, and your results will pretty much mimic that, because tier 2 data is probably, I don't know, at very best 50% less accurate than tier 1, which is tier 1 is anything like TLO, IDI, any one of those systems. Again, ours goes through IDI, so you guys are getting back the best possible data available, probably at the best cost in the market as well. But just to give an example, so if you have something that's coming back, these are just made up numbers, at 50% accuracy for tier 1, and it's the same match rate, 97%, because again, how they get their data in tier 2, it's all questionable. You can probably find all those numbers online on your own. And half the time, those numbers are not very accurate for a specific reason. But if you have tier 2 data coming back with a 15% accuracy, and then you're loading those numbers up into a system like this, your outcome is going to be probably not very good, because you're getting a lot of no's, wrong numbers. So you're going through 1,000 names with tier 2 data with a very low percent of accuracy, versus those same 1,000 names with premium skip trace data, and you're not going through necessarily the same hardships. So just want to make sure I point that out to you guys. To answer your question, Mark, yeah, you can get CallRail, Google Voice, or anything else like that. The point is that my guys actually had them at 1.4, and it was still do, I think. Goes to your Google Voice or your cell phone?
You can set up either way, but right now I've got it set up to Google Voice.
Yeah, Google Voice. So again, you can use whatever call forwarding you want. For the most part, my acquisition guys will pick up the call. I know sometimes that it's not, you may not want to think that it's, best practice, but if somebody's calling you, which happens rarely, like we don't get a lot of calls. No. We'll send a batch of like 150, you guys just saw, Luke's phone probably won't even ring. So it's very rarely when you get a call, but I would recommend if somebody is calling you back, I would probably answer the call and just go through a discovery. Be like, hey, I'm a local buyer. We typically go the route of where we're not investors, but we're local, we're a local landlord, something else along those lines, because we do buy and hold, and that's absolutely true. If we don't, one of my partners or one of my cash buyers, they buy and hold as well. So again, it doesn't always necessarily go the rehab route, but it also strikes a much better chord with the prospect. Okay. Some of the other things I wanted to go through. So if you guys want to make sure you're moving the needle, you definitely want to go through and probably you want to go through and identify the best times to send out messages, right? So the best time to send messages, in my opinion, would be something towards the end of the day, right, Luke? We're looking at, this time, which is the reason why we send this out, and part of the reason why the training is at this time, is to go through and make sure that we're identifying late afternoon, so maybe 4:30 to 5:30, anything past 5:30, all the way up until I would say 7:30, something like that is doable. Yeah, because think of it this way: look at yourself. Would you get bothered if you get a text message at 7:30? No, but most of the time people are off work. We try doing mornings and also doing sometimes an afternoon batch, like a lunch batch. You can do it as well, 12 to 1 could potentially work. But basically, if we have an ability to match people's times when they're either going to work, they're on lunch, or after work, those are absolutely the best times with the best response rates, right? So let some of these come in a little bit more, and then I'll have Luke kind of jump in here and go through those. A few of the other things I wanted to go through. So I would definitely recommend going through and making sure that you have all of your quick replies set up, so it's much easier to go and work these leads or prospects. And then also for sending, what's the best amount of send? So it depends on your company, right? It depends on how many people you have and how many acquisition managers. I would say the minimum would be at least 200 or 300 a day. It all comes down to a numbers game. Like I said, we will typically average around 300 a day.
Yep.
All right, we're going to start cranking those numbers up significantly as we get more acquisition managers, or a junior acquisition manager in that case. But I would do a minimum of 300 texts a day. And follow-up is going to be the absolute game changer. So I'll let Luke get to these as they continue to come in. So the follow-up, my ex-husband lives there. Follow-up is going to be one of the biggest game changers. That's why we have these two features for Drip and also Nurture. The deal that we got last week was a one-year-old lead that we basically were able to get in. So we'll go through that more, and I'll explain how our Drip feature is going to work. The reason why we would keep all the prospects inside of launch control instead of syncing them up with different ways to follow up on Podio or anything else. One is familiarity, right? So you have to look at it. If you're following up with somebody in 6 months, and the way this feature is going to work is that once you click it right now, it's not set up that way, but this is something that's going to be available probably by next week. I'll take this one, just do it however. So for example, if you have a Drip, it'll basically say if you're doing a 6-month cold, 3-month warm, 1-month follow-up, something like that, and you have specific campaigns that are set up to follow up with this prospect. Now, if you have a lead, right, and this particular person decides, I'll let you know if I have one comes up or if an offer, right, something along those lines. If you're texting this person back in a year from now, or let's say 6 months from now, and you're texting her from a random number, let's say that's associated with your Podio account, versus something that you have that's already, you have a conversation started. And maybe this would be a better example. It's listed, or you had some conversation that went a little bit further, like this one, right? That person immediately has association with you versus you starting a conversation from scratch. If I texted this person 6 months from now saying that, hey, this is Luke, we spoke, it looks like your property was listed. And I want to see if it's sold or not, something along those lines, right? Or, this particular person, it basically does not have any familiarity associated. Now, if you're texting back and you're saying, hey, just following up, what are those text messages Luke had here for follow-up, right? Did you ever revisit the idea of selling, or did you sell that property? That person immediately connects the original conversation. It creates a much better cadence and familiarity if you're picking up a conversation that already exists, okay? So the Drip campaign and also the Nurture is going to be one of the biggest, takeaways of this, the way that launch control was set up. So I'll kind of let Luke take over and go through. Do you want to put this here?
Sure.
Some of your points. I'll let him go over some of his points, and while he's kind of working on this batch, and then you guys will be able to see kind of what he's doing and why he's doing it. And then he's also got some additional points to go through. So you can drive from here if you want.
All right. Yeah, how's it going, everyone? My name is
what's up, Luke?
I've been with Ashley Buys Houses for about a year, 3 months, something like that. Closed probably 25 SMS deals,
Probably at least
20, 25. But just wanted to share some of the best practices. So I think, first of all, when you're sending 300 plus leads a day, it's easy to lose some and misplace some or just forget to do something with them. So You got to go through every day when I get in, I come and hit hot lead, look through, make sure I'm working all of these, go through every single one, make sure they're not waiting for a response from me, or call them if need be. And then same with warm lead. Nurture, I usually do like once a week, just because a lot of those you don't need to hit up every single day. But that way, you know that you're hitting up everyone, and you're not losing out on any deals at all. So go back to summary. All right. So I always come down to the very beginning here. No, two schools of thoughts with this one. We've actually pulled some deals from just sending quick response. Do you know anyone else around here selling? And then offer like $500,000, excuse me, $500 or $1,000.
Hell, a referral fee.
Yeah, no kidding. Referral fee. So I usually do that, and then if they don't respond within like 5-10 minutes, I'll just come down here and hit not interested. This is a good one to show. So a lot of people think that you're looking for like fix and flips, or you don't know exactly what they're thinking. But so for this one, I have the lease intent earner now. I would say perfect. We're looking for another rental. And I think that it's super important. I mean, texting is awesome, but I don't think I've ever closed a deal from 100% texting. So I always try to sell the call. That's a big thing we harp on, because we're salespeople, right? We get on the phone with them, we can find out the important parts of the sale, like motivation, that sort of thing. So. And then I would mark this like as warm, just so I don't lose it. I won't go through all these no's and make you guys watch me do all that.
Yeah, you could probably get rid of like, some of the, just
Yeah.
to see how they clear out the system. So for example,
Yep.
you can check off if it's actual an owner. So you guys want to check it off in terms of that it's verified, that it's a verified owner.
Yep.
And then you can go into not interested. Same thing with a few other ones that came in. So you can probably easily clear these off. There's not a lot of them.
For something like this, I think it's worth. I mean, if you're saying 1,000 a day, maybe you don't think it's worth it. But it's always worth a shot to me to try something. So like my ex-husband lives there. I don't think he's looking to sell. I'll forward the message. I would probably either say something like, I understand. I was trying to reach him anyways. Like, what's his phone number? Try to get his phone number. Then you could probably give him a call. But we don't have to mess with that for right now. A lot of times you'll get people that it's close, like the phone number is close, but it's like a family member or something like that. So I would probably just go ahead and call this guy, say, hey, I accidentally texted the wrong person. They sent me your phone number, wanted to see if you were thinking of selling your house in Plant City. And it's just easier to do over phone call, I think. You'll get a lot of this. So I would need 400K so I could buy something in the same area. What I would do, look this up on Zillow, which it'll be super easy to see all this stuff. But if we're in the same ballpark, like if Zillow says it's 500, yeah, here, we'll just do it real quick. I don't think I got it. Oh, you already had it pulled up?
I think you copied the same URL. So anyway, there's a link right here. I think you're copying the phone number.
Oh, gotcha.
There's a link right here that's going to work. It's set up now, but basically just pulls in the address. A little bit awkward. So either way, you'll be able to click on Zillow and just pull it up that way. For now, we'll just do manually pop it in there and pull it up. Yeah, that would be. It's probably done.
So usually, every now and then you'll get really lucky, and someone will say like 60,000, and the house is worth 200. But more often than not,
You'll get that.
you'll have this right here. So if you give me 400,000
with police in front of the house.
yeah, there we go. They come with the sale. So on something like this, I've got a few quick replies that I would use. Usually it's something like this because we do a lot of realtor referrals. So it's kind of a shot in the dark anyway. I've gotten one or two maybe realtor referrals. Or if it's close, like if Zillow would have been 400, 425, something like that, I would either try to get them on the phone or say something along the lines of selling them to get on the phone with them, figure out more information, or figuring out information about the property.
Yeah. So for like wrong number, obviously we'll just
Yep.
DNC that.
Yep. Do not want to sell. If it's a longer message, I usually send this because it seems like they're more apt to help out, I think. Oh, that's not. There we go.
Yeah. So basically the point is, even with a message like the one about the ex-husband, et cetera,
Yep.
you always want to work them down, and you always want to take them as far as you can, because there's nobody else doing that. And probably because, one, they don't have the ability to follow up properly. Two, they're doing too many numbers and they're expecting an easy laydown. And three, nobody's actually working a lead down. So it's the same thing if you guys are paying $300 for a pay-per-click lead, right? And you're getting a response or web form, right? Are you guys going to give up on trying 2 or 3 times? Or you're going to have your lead manager, or you're going to have your salespeople continue to follow up until you basically get to the very end of that particular prospect. Same thing with this, right? I think a lot of people just discard messages too easily. Go ahead, Luke.
Yep. I was just going to say too, it's important when you do get on the phone. I think one of the most important things with sales is finding the motivation, and it's tough to do that over text. But if you were to try it, I would always start with like the easier questions first about the property, and then get into the reasons why they're selling. I usually never give offers out over text unless it's a range, because then you lose all of your like momentum, and there's no reason for them to call you back at all if it doesn't work for them. So you don't have the opportunity to sell. You want to go through some of the hot leads?
Yeah. So some of these hot opportunities, Luke wanted to go through and basically show you how we arrived at a certain specific conversation, or what is the best approach to take when they give you a response like or best offer, right? Or
Yep.
So I'll let you kind of walk through this in terms of how we're able to turn them around or take them discovered.
So I think this is piggybacking off of what Aaron was talking about, where you really have to ask the right questions and dig a little deeper for each lead, because I would say probably 20% of the deals I've closed through SMS has been someone either giving me the address, or it's been like an investor that says, hey, I don't have this one up for sale, but if you want to look at this one, this is other property I have. I would definitely consider selling that. So just going a little further, like this one right here, this will probably be a deal for us. She says, or best offer, just ask a few more questions. She says, I'm going to refer you to my husband. I said, sounds good. When should I give him a call? I gave him a call. He was pretty rude at first about this property, and I said he was living there. So I was like, hey, I understand you're an investor. Same thing as me. I'm looking for properties to buy and either fix up and sell or rent out. And he said, well, I've got the perfect property for you. He gave me a different address. I looked it up. We're really close on numbers. Just got to close the deal.
That was earlier today, right?
Yep, that was today. And then this is the deal, not the one that we've been working for a year, but we got last week. Yeah, end of last week. So a lot of it is timing too. So if you're sending out a ton of leads, just being ready when the opportunity comes. So this guy, he was an investor. He said, we sold this one. We're interested in selling this one. So what I was just talking about. Looked it up on Zillow. Timing was perfect. He just listed it for sale by owner. Texted him that. He said it could be either. I jumped on the phone with him. I actually ended up just going over there and meeting him and closing the deal. But
so just against company policy, Luke.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
we don't go to appointments, but anyway, this one was close by.
Yeah. But follow up, you'll probably get like 70% of your deals from. But there are these scenarios where every now and then you catch the person at the right time, and they're ready to go. This is a good example of pivoting someone. So sent out our original message. She comes back and says, yes, you and other 20 other people have asked, what's your offer? I said, yeah, I totally understand. I get calls and texts about my house is around here all the time. I can get you an offer. Just had a couple questions. So selling a call, go into it, call her. This will probably be a good follow-up deal. She's living in the property right now. So,
the bottom line, that's an opportunity. I think where, from kind of what I've seen in other people that are doing that are not doing, but basically everybody else that's using the VAs or their approach of basically no nurture or no drip or no anything else, these get passed over completely. So like, just like you guys are used to having deals that people pass over, you know, they're not contacting, I don't know, probate, not contacting specific lists. This is the same concept, except the whole premise with SMS has been that you only go for the yes out of like, you know, 5,000, 2,000, whatever is the case. Like somebody that's like, yes, blatantly. And then nobody's putting in time. Yeah, there's a lot of, again, the goal was for us to do this continuous training, I'd say biweekly, and to go through specific scenarios like this. You know, like, what do you say? How do you pivot? Are you a rehab? Are you an investor? Are you buy and hold landlord, right? All these things come into play in terms of how you're able to take the prospect term around, because this is completely different from any other marketing source. The point is, nobody's taking really the time to dial this in and make it a high conversion tool where everybody else has been worried about sending out a million. It's like, you know, I see this on Instagram all the time. I send out 1 million text messages a month. That's great. Okay, that's great. You got, you know, 3 deals out of that, right? So it's all about actually honing in the precision, having the right system like this one that allows you, these are supposed to be checked, Luke, what happened? That allows you to track your performance. That's why we have kind of a KPI dashboard built out as well. You guys will be able to track everything in here, and it kind of gets activated day by day in terms of this, as well as, you know, the messages that are going out per day, et cetera. And you guys will be able to look at your KPIs per campaign, per user, what's coming back, what's not, how many conversions have you had off follow-up, nurture, et cetera. So one of the goals is to make sure you guys are always converting at a high rate, and that we're able to always provide you with feedback, which is, I don't think anybody else that does that, you know, from a perspective of just sales through text. Did you have anything else you want to go through?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So again, wanted to keep this one more straight to the point. I know we're at 45 minutes now. I wanted to go through. There's a question.
Yep.
What is your objection handling approach when the seller is just asking for an offer out of the gate? I think you touched on that, but you can expand a little more.
Yeah, that's a good one. You'll get that a lot. It depends. I look at Zillow estimate like right off the bat. If it's in our wheelhouse, I'll try to give them a call, just because I can sell a lot better over the phone than texting. If they don't answer, or if it's just like a $400,000 property or something like that, what I'll typically say to that is, hey, I'd love to get you an offer. However, I'm a serious buyer. I'm not trying to mess around or anything, but I can't get you a very accurate offer if I don't know anything about the property. Or I'm going to have to give you, you know, a pretty low offer if I don't know anything about the property, and then sell and with selling the call. So like, do you have a minute to discuss something like that?
Cool. You guys can jump in with a mic, or you can put your messages in the text box. So again, we'll kind of go through the Q&A aspect. I know we have more people jump on, but Vic or Sam, I know you guys have been on the system for just over a week. I want to make sure that I'll go over any questions you guys have specifically. I know we covered a lot through email.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, thanks for doing this. It's kind of helping me out a lot, getting a lot of cool stuff from you guys. Can you guys go over the drip functionality a little bit more? It's one of the things that I kind of was interested in launch control. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Tyler, right? Was that Tyler?
Oh, no, it's Rodolfo Mejia.
Oh, okay.
You can call me Rudy.
Rudy, sorry about that. So basically, the drip campaign feature is going to be something should be in 1.1, which is the version that's coming out this week or probably the week after. Once you put somebody on drip, basically it's going to give you an option to drop down if you want to put them on. You can create the campaigns, right? So you can create a campaign if you want to have a 1-month warm follow-up. You know, we have some, we call it for absentees, it would be like a 3-month, you know, out of town, I'll be in town type of thing, or 2-month cold. So you can create the campaign. You create the frequency of when the messages go out. And basically, because we want to stay compliant, you can't just blast out drip campaigns, because again, it's not an auto dialer. You'll be able to come into your campaigns. There's going to be a drip campaign feature there, and all the messages will gather up. So basically, if you have, let's say 15 drip campaign messages need to be sent out, you go in there, you send them out in like 3 seconds. And they'll be also visible in your dashboard. It'll tell you how many drips you need to send out today. But basically it's automatically generated. It's automatically attached to the prospects, and then you're able to create and control. Obviously, we're going to provide the content just like we did with our users for our SMS messages that go out for quick replies or for the initial responses. Like I said, we have a mix of people that are users and not current users. So we're going to get into a lot more technical and internal stuff on our future trainings, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more context for reading.
Hey, thanks again.
Yep. Anybody else?
Hey, Aaron, what's up, man? It's Travis.
What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
How's it going?
Oh, not too bad. Can I upload our buyers list? Phone
Yeah,
number?
so for buyers, here's the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to burn out your numbers, right? So it depends on what you're on right now in terms of which package you're on, right? We use this for our buyers, but what I'm probably going to do for launch control, I'm going to probably separate it out with separate numbers from your sellers, right? Because I probably would not text from the same numbers to both your buyers and your sellers. So it's going to be a pretty easy feature to add. So we're going to have a separate cash buyer list, and you're going to have a separate phone numbers that you can alternate basically and blast out your buyers. But this way you don't have an overlap. So for now, I definitely would not use the current numbers you have for buyers, and whatever your system you have in place for texting your buyers would continue using that. This probably won't take me more than 2 weeks to put in place, but you're going to have a clear separation between the sell side and the buy side.
Nice. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Vic. Thanks, guys, for running this down. One functionality too is on the time piece.
Yes.
It seems like it's off on your guys' too. I know it's not really a big deal. It just keeps spinning me around and I'm working.
No worries. I just reminded them again. It's like it is the easiest thing to fix. They're going off UTC time, which is the time that nobody uses. So yeah, it'll be done this week because it got mixed up in the order of what they're working on. But yeah, this will be correct, and it'll be based on your time zone, right? So we're setting it out. Since you are able to go into campaigns, and then you're able to, you're going to be able to put in your actual campaign hours in here as well as your time zone.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be knocked out this week for sure.
Okay. And thanks, Luke, for doing that run through to get people on the phone. I'm finding sometimes I'm just trying to text them all the way across, but probably getting off the phone it's easier to build rapport there. Can't take it all the way out.
Yeah, for sure. And go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I've had a few deals where I've really worked almost towards the end, but none that we've closed just from texting. So you want them, especially if you're not going to the properties, it just makes it a lot easier for them to trust you and want to work with you. And a lot of the times, like I said earlier, you get other properties from them, or they know someone's selling a property or something like that. So it's just more beneficial in my eyes anyways.
Yeah. And one of the things that, go ahead.
I was just saying, I found that quite frequently. I've been in there for about the last week. And I'm getting a lot of, not this house, but all this other stuff. So I find myself needing to get them on the phone because I don't have this house, but I have these two other houses. So that's popped up quite a bit. I forgot what else I was going to say, but yeah, that happens pretty frequently. The other question I was going to say is, there's some people that I guess, I don't know what percentage, right, of folks that are just like, they're just really not motivated sellers. So are you guys approaching those? I know that's a different approach, but how are you guys approaching those people? Are you moving on quickly, or are you staying in the fight?
That's a good question. So it's really situational on how you approach that. So there are two schools of thought. Like you can get them on the phone, and if you get them on the phone, shoot for motivation earlier. Like try to figure out their motivation earlier, and the ways you can do that are just give them like a short compliment, like, man, this is a nice place, or it's a good neighborhood. Why are you considering selling this place? And then if the motivation's like, well, you messaged me, or like just stupid stuff like that, then it's probably not the best option. I would get off the call pretty quickly. Or if, say you're shooting out a ton of batches and you don't have time for a phone call, something like that, you can start texting them a little more, but those beginning texts make them really easy for them to answer. So like stuff about the property, like, how was the roof, how was the AC, and then work them a little further. But then you don't have to take 5 minutes to talk to them on the phone.
Okay, that's good. I guess I just needed to hear it because we're trying to eventually do some auditing of one another just to make sure it's like Vic's just not messing up all the Glenn Gary leads. But saying stuff like, I just wanted to hear that when people are like, no, you called me, so make the best offer. It's kind of like, all right, just move it on.
Yeah, it's going to be the same thing. Like I think you guys done mailers, right? So it's going to be the same thing. You get people calling you. They're like, what's your offer? Like, well, like, are you interested in selling? Kind of try to go through discovery. Like, no, just shoot me your offer, So you're going to get those regardless. But it comes down to you guys maximizing. So you're going to be able to tell really quickly after, I think, maybe another week or two, and I'm going to continue doing these trainings of what to pursue and what not to pursue. The ones that, people leave and don't pursue are the ones that, you'll be able to see from the responses. If there's somebody's like, hey, you guys texting me 20 times a day or something along those lines, or it's like, hey, my ex-husband lives there. Most of these, Luke didn't even continue on because, again, we're just kind of in the middle of the demo. Or this guy, you're just pursuing the ones that are not going to get picked up by other people or just simply moving on. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're approaching it the same way you would with any other lead. But if you're getting the signs that, look, this guy is just, asking me to give him a number for no reason, I wouldn't waste time on those. I would honestly, in the future, just put them in the drip inside launch control. I would put like a 6-month or 8-month drip and move on. And then at that point, you just get automatic message to them in the future. It's like, hey, you just want to circle around. I know you weren't, necessarily, keen on selling. At that point, just want to see if anything changed your situation, et cetera. And that does not do anything. But the main point I was trying to make before is that you're going to have continuation of this, right? With that person. It's not going to be out of the blue. You're going to have something you're appending to, because most people don't delete these messages. They get buried. And then, when it comes up again, you're like, oh, okay, I guess I was talking to this person in the past. So it just takes down the barriers in the future. But I would just definitely put those on more like a cold drip.
Okay. Yeah, and then one other just functionality piece on there too, and I don't know just trying to keep up with the releases or when those come out, but I know you guys said, I really like the feature where you can split it, so I know Sam and I are currently in there right now, but when the new message comes in there, I don't know if I didn't catch that in the opening, I heard about the blue colors, but I was just curious, if you're working like, you send out 100, I just keep clicking through, because you can't really tell if there's a new message, like if you went down 5, sellers and just clicked on one randomly, like how do you know that they messaged you back?
The new messages always go to the top. So they'll always be here at the top of your summary screen. And then again, by only applying the blue color to the new messages, you'll be able to tell that this is a new message. So you're going to have, let's say you've had this conversation with the bottom half. So these will not be blue. But the top half will all be blue.
I thought you said that was already here. Sorry, I missed that.
No, that's going to be something it's a pretty easy one, and I think they're going to have that released this week. So yeah, it's not a big deal. It's basically the same thing that I have now. They're just taking the color off anything that's already been read. So the thing now turns this color, and they're just going to take that off, so it's easier to see visually. Okay,
cool. But yeah, I'm happy with the product so far, and I'm looking forward to probably more of the training pieces, because now that I'm deep in the conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're going to do these bi-weekly, and we're going to have a lot more context. So this is pretty much going to be the only one I think we have like some users and some, people that are just kind of looking at texting, or they're maybe using something else. But the goal of our system is going to be to continuously do sales training in addition to the tool, because the tool on its own is only as good as the user. And if the user is not being trained or conveyed all of the knowledge that we've gained over the past year, and again, we kind of did it high level. We didn't really go into like the specifics we're probably going to be covering next week or two. And that's going to be where the takeaway happens. And that's where the traction begins to occur as far as, you starting to turn a lot higher conversion rates.
Hey, so I know you guys said you're sending out, it's Trav again. I know you guys said you're sending out like 100 to 300 a day, Luke, and you're getting about 3 deals a month, and maybe it's just a ramp up period, but is there any reason why you're not doing more, or is that like a capacity issue for you? Because, I'm just double the text, double the deal type thing, or what are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, I can probably grab that one for Luke. So from the operations side, we didn't want to continue doing it to the point where you're not able to track your metrics. And that's the reason why I developed the dashboard. And again, it's going to be all plugged in and working for you guys to actually track what's going on. So when you're going to be able to go into your batches and campaigns, you'll be able to see conversions, et cetera. One of my goals was that I did not want to send out a ton of messages that you're not able to track or you're not able to follow up on. But at the same time, you guys also remember that we had about 5 marketing channels at any given time. So it was producing, and one of my goals is actually taking this and make it into like as much as a KPI tracking tool as it is a text messaging tool, is to make sure that you're able to track those 1,000 messages that go out instead of doing what everybody else is doing. It's kind of like, set it and forget it, and you have no idea what's going on. So one of the things was, yes, it was converting. And to answer your question, we're basically going to be hiring an acquisition person to strictly do this full time. So we're going to be going up to 1,000, 1,500 a day, and doing that in the consistent manner that would apply our conversion ratio that we're used to.
Nice. Okay. Thanks, man.
Hey, Aaron, question on the batch page. Is there a reason, is there any reason why we wouldn't clear that out? Like, I guess early on when we were running batches, like if I started 100 text batch and then I went to the summary page after sending 50 of them, and then came back and tried to resume that batch, whenever I completed it, it would never really like close it out. So it just shows up as a resume on there. Is there any reason not to just, trash those other than just saying how many batches you run that day? Or
no, they're going to be, so I'm going to use a collapse tool. Like you guys know that I kind of expand a collapse feature like this one, right? So I'm probably going to do that, but it's also good for tracking because you guys are going to have a lot of metrics that are based on these batches. So no, there's no rhyme or reason for you to start a batch and come back here and resume it, just like we have sample batches here, or to trash it. You'll definitely want to keep track of it because all of your metrics as far as what happened with this batch will be visible on your dashboard. So yeah, one of the things we'll do is just hide it better like this, kind of show and hide feature. So you don't have to worry necessarily look at, endless batches, and inverse the order of them as well. So you have the most recent batches first.
Okay, cool. Yeah, one of the things I was concerned with was if I didn't complete a batch, but they were already in that batch's queue, and say Vic comes in and starts a new batch, it doesn't pull any of those numbers that are already in that queue, right? That have not been texted.
Yeah, they're completely separate.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we love it so far, man.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah, if there's anything else, like I said, for the existing users, we'll be doing this on an ongoing basis and getting a lot deeper into the, into the trenches in terms of, what's working, going through live examples and kind of, again, each deal we convert, we're going to go through and kind of work backwards with Luke. Aside from that, if try to keep this to an hour, if anybody else has any other questions, probably can grab those on Investor Fuel, or you guys can email me. And I'll send this recording out just to make sure that the people that can attend will have it as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Do you have
Take care.
One more question.